He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
And we are back with Sasha Fabry, ace salesman at Butler Mortgage, amongst a deck of aces.
Thank you, sir.
Would you get away with that in a fucking poker game? I don't know. Like if
maybe
the fifth ace comes up, I think you're in shit, right?
I wouldn't want to risk it personally. I don't think so. But thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right. So first topic is what happened last week was the Bank of Canada. Bank of Canada, it only happens every 6 weeks. That's how you figure it out, folks, actually. It's 8 announcement dates per year. So it's roughly every 6 weeks. But they space it out for certain reasons, like they want to have a longer break in the summer because they like to go on vacation too.
Who doesn't?
And they have a slightly longer, a tiny bit longer break over Christmas. But they always time it so they get Christmas off.
Yeah. So
the next date is the 10th of December, okay? And then they go home. I'm not saying they don't work. When I go to Ottawa, I go and visit. I go there at least once or twice a year, visit the government, and they do way they work. Okay, like I don't beat those guys up. They work. They show up and they work. And depending on the job you have, you might actually work really hard. You might. Okay, but the other jobs, I don't know what the fuck you're really doing. Okay,
depends on the department they work for.
Depends on exactly, because there's Ottawa breaks down like this. There's political people. All right, everybody should know this. There's a ton of political people who you pay for as a taxpayer. Like every chief of staff, every director of communications. Like there are huge numbers of political people,
of course,
who work on developing policy that are on the taxpayer's dime. Now, I'm not going to lose my mind about it because in the end, well, fuck it. I mean, they have to create policy, right?
Yeah, so, and at the end of the day, a lot of people who are electable are not necessarily great at operations and policy making. They're just very electable.
Yeah, like, I mean, from time to time, we determine that certain ministers aren't really that fucking smart.
One or two that we can name, but maybe we won't. I don't know. You probably will.
Well, another day. But there's also the bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Now, the bureaucrats are people who just stay forever, because the political people who are still taxpayer-paid people, they come and go. When the government changes, they go. When the candidate changes, they go. When the minister changes, they go.
Yep.
But the bureaucrats are lifetimers.
Oh, yeah.
They're there for eternity.
Yep.
Okay? And when you meet them, you can tell they're lifers. Okay? Like there's...
I'll get to it next week.
Well, I don't want to say that because I can't really tell you how hard they work, but I can tell you that sometimes they look a little bored. Okay? And then the other group are the regulators. Because there's a shit ton of regulators in Canada, right? There's a regulator for every fucking thing you can dream of, all right?
Yep.
So they are slightly more involved because they're making policy, they're doing stuff. I tell you, when I'm talking about the bureaucrats, guys are just paid to think about moving the parts of government. God damn, they seem bored. Okay, but
I wouldn't want their job. I wish there were maybe better at their jobs in a lot of cases, made our lives a little bit easier. But
some of these jobs, I don't know how you could be better. Okay, like honestly, I don't really know how you could be better. Like we all know that the people at CRA could be better because 83% of the time they're giving wrong answers.
As frequently as yesterday with some clients.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I want to really fucking emphasize this. This is not me spouting bullshit.
No.
This is the Auditor General conducted a meticulous survey. She had her own people call CRA with tax questions, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And 83% of the time, CRA was wrong. They gave the wrong answer.
Yeah, yeah. I had a client the other day try and tell me what documents the bank will accept because the CRA person on the phone told them what the banks will accept. And I just had to send them the link to that article and say, look, unfortunately, the CRA people give wrong advice all the time. And at the end of the day, the bank doesn't care about their opinions. The bank can ask for whatever they want to ask for.
Now, I did see, on that subject, I did see a very interesting conspiracy theory online.
Love it. Let's hear it.
I saw a guy who generally had folded his tinfoil hat perfectly so that it was no creases in it. It wasn't ruffled up. But the eerie part about every crazy fucking conspiracy theory is there's this moment where you
have to
you cock your head and you think, fuck, could that be true? So the idea was that it was a well-worded little essay that said, look, I worked at CRA and you get a bonus at CRA. Your group gets a bonus and your team gets a bonus if you collect more taxes and penalties. If you discover more unpaid tax and you charge the penalties and charge the interest.
What could go wrong?
So he said, that's the only way you can make extra money at CRA. In those groups, is that's how you make it. Okay. So if the other side of CRA is consistently 83% of the time giving wrong answers, and the taxpayer's doing the wrong thing as a result of the 83% wrong answers, the guys over on the other side who make a bonus will catch mistakes that were caused by the fucking CRA people in the first place, 83% of the time, and they'll make bigger bonuses.
You're going to make a conspiracy theorist out of me yet, Ron.
Well, there was a strong thread of truth ran through that fucker. Okay.
You know what? I don't like to believe that people are purposefully incompetent. If I can, I like to assume people are hopefully good at what they do. But
hey, look, I've always had the same response to conspiracy theories: is that I really and truly believe that the greatest likelihood is boredom, laziness, and stupidity. That it's not a conspiracy.
Yep.
Okay. I really believe that conspiracy is the last thing something could be. But hey, that wasn't a bad one. All right, let's talk about the Bank of Canada announcement. Tiff comes out and says 0.25% cut, which literally it was 92% certainty of a cut. So that's about as good as you get.
Milquetoast, nothing new.
Yep. So but then he started to go off on some fucking tangents. Okay, so Tiff said, well, I'm finished now for a while.
Fuck.
I'm finished now for a while. I mean, I believe that we've done these cuts, these couple of cuts, and I believe the economy is going to be okay. They even predicted 1.4% growth for next year, 1.2. It's a terribly low number, but still growth. Because there's one thing for fucking sure. The Bank of Canada is never going to predict a recession.
No, of course not. They can't. What would that do to the economy if they just already said that?
Yeah, imagine if Tiff comes out and says, I think we're fucked, people. Make me like the Depression in 29, okay? That doesn't work. No.
But honest to God, he should have considered himself on the stand and just say as little as possible. He had no reason to go that far. He spoke too much, and that caused a huge spike in our bond yields, which is going to likely affect
so
the
we're going to
fixed
circle
rates.
back and do the education piece. So,
always.
So
but
variable rates are 100% influenced by the Bank of Canada. They are the absolute reason for variable rate change. There's a one-on-one comparison. If you must have people phone you and ask if who've taken a variable, they must phone and ask, hey, will my rate go down?
Of course. Not even just the variable people. All the fixed people ask too.
They think the fixed people think the rate goes down. Everybody thinks the rates are going down.
Some people think they can get a 2%.
Yeah. It's a multiple, right? No, it's not a multiple. But anyway, variable 100% every time the Bank of Canada announces up or down, your mortgage changes. Now, not every mortgage payment changes.
No, there's a lot of different products out there for variable. People need to be aware. Some of them are going to change. Some of them won't. Some of them are based on a higher amount and always the higher amounts. There's lots of differences in that product category.
But you are guaranteed that your interest cost goes down. That much you're guaranteed. Bank of Canada goes down. Now, fixed rates, and I know this is maybe the 12th or 13,000th time I've said it, but it always is required. I don't expect everybody who's listening to be a mortgage expert. That's crazy, okay?
You know what's fun, actually? More and more and more people that call in are now aware of how fixed rates are affected by bond yield. I'm noticing a small increase, so we are educating the world.
We're doing our job. We're doing our job.
But still lots of questions.
So, one Tiff, the Bank of Canada governor, Tiff Macklem, said that he was done cutting for now. The bond yield spiked 13 basis points.
Immediately.
Like, instantly.
Yeah.
So, to your point, I'm not sure Tiff thinks about what he says all the time.
I couldn't think of a reason. I was trying so hard. Like, why would you say that? Is it to try and reassure people on the economy? Like, what's the play there? And I couldn't figure it out. None of it made logical sense to me.
To try to defend Tiff in the tiniest way, because I really have no reason to defend him, but the Bank of Canada does say they attempt to give more transparency to rate decisions. Okay, they do say that. But this is the same guy who said rates will stay low for long.
I love that clip.
And the whole
such rage bait.
And every Canadian who with a mortgage got fucked.
Yeah, of course.
So he said it. Bond yields soared. So this is one situation. This doesn't usually happen, but this is one situation where you could say not only did the rate cut not reduce fixed rates, the rate cut might have increased fixed rates. We haven't seen the increases come through yet.
Yeah.
But when bond yields jumped 13 basis points, holy shit! Yeah. Like, I know what the fuck's a basis point? So it's 1/100th of 1%, and then the next thing people say is, well, for fuck's sakes, that's hardly anything. But in rate world, it's real. Like, would you rather pay 3.89 or 3.79?
Well, it's
every fucker on earth wants to pay 3.79. Okay, that's it. Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. So, and depending on the mortgage size, like, it makes a huge difference, right? A lot of the time, the people focus on what their monthly payment is without focusing on what the actual amount of that payment going to principal is. And for every 10 basis points, roughly, let's say you have a $500,000 mortgage, every 10 basis points is going to roughly be about $500 in interest saved annually, right?
Yeah, so it's real money. 500. Because to your point, Sasha, when you save $500 on interest, that's free money.
It's free money.
Okay? Like, you didn't work for that. You didn't pay any taxes on that. You just that went into your pocket. Savings on interest rates on a mortgage, because the principal residence tax free, because there's no taxation on mortgages. It goes right into your pocket, the interest savings. So it's a meaningful number. You're right. So then, Tiff did this, and potentially spiked fixed rates. But it's going to bring up the old conversation of, what should I take? You're hearing that right now.
Fixed versus variable. What should I take? Variable. Yeah, and I mean, just to do a small little summary of what we've been talking about over the last year, right? A year ago, it made absolute sense to take variable because we knew we'd be in the position we are today.
Multiple cuts.
Yeah, multiple cuts, right? And then once the fixed rates started to hit the 3% range, we started advising people, you know what? If you can get something 3-year, 5-year fixed starts with a 3, consider taking it.
Because our suggestion of taking variable a year and a half ago was always you would be able to lock in at a lower rate.
Absolutely.
And indeed, variable went down, fixed rates went down, and people could.
And posted rates went down, which is the important thing when you're switching, right?
All rates went down.
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't realize, and so I do have this conversation with people every day in the office, is that there's a lot of I don't want to say, again, I don't love to say willful ignorance. So let's just call it plain ignorance, perhaps, if people aren't as experienced, they haven't been around long enough, or they're bank reps who maybe haven't seen.
So we're talking about fuckwit mortgage brokers.
Sure. Fuckwit mortgage brokers. There you go. You can say it.
Yeah.
So yes, it is true, folks, that if you get a variable rate, you can switch into a fixed rate with that lender free of charge on the same term most of the time.
So you took a variable and you've decided you wanted to switch to a fixed.
Yeah.
There is no cost.
No cost to switch into that fixed.
With the same lender.
Yeah. And so what you'll hear a lot of people say is take the variable, wait for it to drop, and then switch into a fixed later when it's lower, which is incorrect, because what happens 9 times out of 10, folks, is you are not going to get to keep that variable rate when you are switching into the fixed. A lot of the time, you'll be offered the posted fixed rate, which currently can be anywhere from 20 to 70 basis points higher, depending on what you're getting. So it's a gamble. It's a risk.
It's a risk. The most pressing risk, though, which is what we've been trying to educate people about, is if you want to take the variable, like it was easy 16 months ago. It was easy because we knew that all rates were going to fall dramatically. They did.
Yep.
It's 100% correct. And you could convert, and some people did convert, and some people just broke variable because they just wanted to.
Of course.
Because sometimes their lender wouldn't cooperate. And there also is another reason to take variable, which we should touch on, which is you think you're going to sell your house in a short period of time.
Yeah, I probably stretch it a bit longer than maybe you might. I say, are you going to do it in the next 2 years? You probably would keep it to a year and a half. Yeah. Also, if someone is going to be aggressively paying down their mortgage, or if they have excellent income, maybe we can look at that, right? If it's going to be paid off shortly. Those are the situations where you might want to consider the variable and consider it.
Because the variable always has a low penalty.
3 months interest, typically. Yeah.
Low penalty framework, whereas fixed rates, the framework is mysterious.
Yeah.
It's really something called interest rate differential.
Yeah.
Which is different at every lender. And
the math is sort of similar, but
I don't agree.
No?
I think the math at some lenders is radically fucking different than the math at other lenders.
I'll listen to the 40-year veteran.
I've seen it. Okay, 30. Don't make me any fucking older than I am. Okay. So I mean, it's definitively higher. So if you know that your variable rate is always a 3-month interest penalty, that's what the contract says. This interest differential story could be 9 months penalty, could be 11 months penalty, could be 6 months penalty. It's always substantially higher. So if you have sensitivity to penalty because you know you're going to be doing something, you're going to be breaking that mortgage, variable's not such a bad thing. But if you think you're in home sweet home for, when I was young, this term forever home never existed when I was young. Okay, never existed. So this is some new, I won't call it woke bullshit, but this. I put forever home sort of in the same category as fur baby.
Oh God,
yeah, fuck that fur baby idea. Okay, a baby is a baby, for fuck's sakes. I mean, I know. I got like 100,000 pet owners going, what a fat fucking bastard. He doesn't like fur baby.
That might be the most controversial thing you've ever said. We're gonna get flooded with angry
fucking bad comments. Fuck you. You don't love your pets. You fucking fat bastard. Okay, look, I love pets just fine. Okay, but fur baby. When I see people pushing that little dog, that little, there's
like Pomeranians or
even like the Shih Tzus. Okay, when I see people pushing a Shih Tzu in a baby carriage, I'm thinking the world's coming to a fucking end. Okay,
it might.
Yeah, I don't get that. And then now there's going to be extra. I push him around all the time in the carriage. Like, you are fucking nuts, Karen. Okay, but anyway,
Karen,
I got to call the generic Karen. Okay, so look. There are reasons to take variable. They're ultra specific.
Yeah.
But the biggest issue I have with variable, and we talked about this as the variable rates were falling, we said there's going to come a point where they're not falling as fast. We're going to come a point where, like we just saw today, last week, I should say. We saw last week where Tiff said something and all of a sudden bond yields spiked a bit. We are in a position now where variable is typically lower cost.
Yeah, by anywhere from 10 to 20 basis points lower.
Not a lot, but still.
Which changes the conversation.
Always changes the conversation.
Yeah.
People in Canada want the lowest rate. Typically, they want to talk about lowest rate all the time.
Which is why it's now more important I have these people call me all the time, just tell me all the rates. And I have to have a conversation with them and say, look, if you just want to know all the rates, it's on our website. You can Google it.
If you don't trust our website, if you want a more independent, there's an organization called WOWA, WOWA.ca. They have meticulous daily changes in every rate you could imagine, every mortgage rate in Canada. They're amongst the most accurate, most well-researched. just bookmark those fuckers.
Yeah,
Okay.
but what
By the way, I'm friends with those fuckers, but I'll still say bookmark those fuckers. Okay,
Yeah.
and just look at it every other day.
Yeah.
It's right there. All the rate information is there.
And what I tell people is, look, data is not the same as information, right? And so if you just want the raw data, Google it. But if you want information and you want advice, right? Let's go through it. And that's very situational. It's very, very good.
Yeah, if you want to know how rates apply to your situation, talk to a professional.
Yep.
Okay, so, but you and I both understand that Canadians are, because houses are still so batshit fucking crazy, priced,
Yep.
that Canadians want low rates.
Of course.
They desire it.
Yep.
So what I must say is that when we knew variable had a long way to fall, we recommended it easily. We were right.
Mm-hmm.
Now that variable is, hell, Tiff said he's stopped for now. There won't be any reduction in December. There probably won't be any reduction in January. But listen to this, folks. Mark my words. If the economy in Canada has been sort of circling the bowl, it's right near the top of the bowl where the water comes out, okay, and it's going a little farther down, okay. But when that whole thing disappears into the S bend of the toilet, when that's where the economy goes, right through the S bend, okay, then Tiff is going to cut again.
You know what? That's a gross metaphor, but it's pretty accurate actually. Because what can happen in both situations is it goes slow and then it is very quick.
Then suddenly it's gone.
And then suddenly it is gone. And you have to worry about that for
that's
sure.
Because Tiff didn't say I'm guaranteeing I'm finished.
Yeah.
Tiff said that I've stopped for now. The governor of the Bank of Canada said I'm stopped for now, cutting rates, but I will continue to monitor the situation.
Yeah.
And when he monitors this rapid disappearance down the toilet, into the S bend, headed for the sewer, he will come back in February or March and say, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
What fuckery is this? Okay, the economy is fucked. I have to start cutting again.
And we know they only make changes. They make changes too late in both scenarios. They're too late to rise, too late to cut. And they always want to be absolutely defensible, right? So they will never do something when it's 50-50. They will never do something when it's 70-30. They do things when it's 80-20, 90-10.
Okay, so but let's be clear on this. You're dead right. Everything you said is correct.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
But
that's a good thing to hear at Butler Mortgage.
So yeah, I'm not just angry mortgage on this show. Okay, look, the truth is there's more cuts coming.
Yeah,
but the volatility, as we just saw from one little mention of Tiff saying that he's stopped, Macklem says I'm stopped for now. 13 bips spike in rates. Look. The volatility is like I've never seen it before. I'm doing this for 30 years. I've never seen it this high. And that means you must be cautious, all right? So the point I make to people is you may wish to select variable.
Yeah.
I believe the balance of probabilities is it will continue to go down.
Yeah.
Next year, you'll have a lower variable rate by the spring than you have today. I feel it's a certainty in my mind.
Yeah.
That said, taking a variable rate right now requires you to become a endless financial guru. Oh, yeah. You're going to be studying every news about inflation. You're going to go to Wawa and look at it every second day.
Yeah.
You're going to be committing to this meticulous review of where variable rates are going.
Because that turd, as quickly as it can go down the toilet.
I didn't say that. You jumped right into the grossest part of my metaphor, just like that. You jumped there. Okay?
The sewer can back up just as quickly. And
no, I don't want to go. Let's not do sewer backup for fuck's sakes. Let's return to a somewhat more professional plane.
All right, let's go.
And just say that
variable is going to go down we can project it's going to go down for a year, and it could also very quickly go up in the next couple of years.
And the point is that when that moment happens, that when you hear the first announcement by a bank, by any central banker,
it's too late.
They're raising rates.
It's too late.
The fixed rates have already gone through the roof.
Bond traders are so much faster.
Well, they have to be. Their jobs depend on it.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is this. We saw it happen. We watched variable stay the same when fixed rates soared. There was a moment in time where variable was still 1% and fixed was 3.5%.
Yeah.
So people were actually very interested in taking variable.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got nailed to the cross with extra large nails.
I will never forget my one client who said no to a 1.25% fixed because he got a 0.95 variable. I'll never forget that person.
That's just the way. But my point to everybody who's taking variable today is, if you don't understand, you've got to watch this meticulously. Yeah. And I know there's still the variable guys who say, well, I've been variable my whole life and I've done really well, even that little bump there, but still. No,
Doug Ford, is that you?
That bump cut your nuts off, dude. Okay. Like, it wasn't a bump. It was just a massive hit you took.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that everybody should devote their lives to studying interest rates, studying inflation news, studying the economies and the fiscal position of governments. I believe that if you can get a 3.79 5-year fix, take it. That's my belief still.
Yeah, okay? I think that's very sound. Because you know what what makes me certain you are correct, besides you are who you are, I was looking up the amount of sort of subsidiary jobs that are supported by different industries. And when you have jobs in industry and jobs in manufacturing, on average, that can support anywhere from 7 to 9 other jobs.
Sure. 100%.
And so when we are having, and service industry is much less, it's 3 or 4, things like that. Mm-hmm. And when we are having massive layoffs in industry and in plants and in jobs that are supporting that many other jobs, it will cascade, and it can happen quickly, right? So,
and we have no reason to believe it won't.
Yeah. So
right? We have no trade deal.
So regardless of what
Japan has a trade deal.
There you go.
South Korea has a trade deal.
Yeah.
We don't have a trade deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're subject to whatever the fuck bad shit happens. Okay. That's the reality of life.
Yep.
Okay. So that's my final word. And I think it'll be my continuous word on variable. You can take variable. In all likelihood, it will go down some more. You will see that benefit.
Yep.
But you must understand, you are committing to serious vigilance, careful checking. Nobody should take variable and then come back after the fucking bank rate goes through the fucking roof. We're back to 5% again.
Yeah.
Nobody should call up Butler Mortgage and say, you never told me it could go up. So we're telling you now, it can go up. Okay. And let's face it, if you're taking advice from branch people or commission sales reps for banks, or even like, I'm open to saying this, 50% of all mortgage brokers and agents in Canada are some version of a fuckwit idiot. Okay, I'm prepared to say that. All right, that doesn't mean there's lots of great ones. There are tons and tons of great ones, but there's still 50% fuckwit idiots. You can get your educational requirement to be a mortgage broker
in a weekend
is 1/65th that of cutting hair in Ontario. Like you have 3,200 hours to be an independent hair cutter in Ontario.
Yeah.
Like you can be a mortgage broker in 3 weeks flat. So part-time study. Yep. So, there are just a certain amount of fuckwit idiots who are mortgage brokers in Ontario and other provinces, and they don't know shit from Shinola, and they will tell you, variable's guaranteed to stay down. Okay, I guess you're fucked at that point. But don't listen to that. You have to understand you're taking a risk when you take variable. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So an interesting thing that comes out of all this is you hear, it doesn't come up often, but I know you hear occasionally the question, particularly from people who have moved here from the U.S. And there's actually a few more. It's a sort of an interesting phenomenon of some Canadians who have lived in the States for many years are coming back. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, but let's just say it's a small trend. It's a small. It only applies to big cities, but there's some of them are coming back. And I think are they not shocked we don't have 25-year mortgages? In other words, here's a rate.
For sure.
Take this rate, and it won't change for 25 years or 30 years.
For sure. It's really funny. Every time someone asks me about that, I have to say, how long did you live in the U.S.? For sure.
And they always did.
Yeah, exactly. There's very few Canadians who have never lived in the U.S. who ask that question. And it's a great question. I'll leave that to the expert to explain. And
but it's real. US, of course. The U.S. The vast majority. We're talking 90% of the mortgages in the United States.
Yep.
When you get your mortgage, the rate stays the same for 25 years or 30 years or whatever it is.
There's a big premium on them, which is probably a big part of it too, right?
That's the key. So, every mortgage in the United States with these 25 and 30-year terms is roughly 2% higher than our 5-year term.
Yep.
Now you might say to yourself, oh, well, 2%, that's not much for to have that certainty.
That's a lot.
Fuck no, that's not true. That is not fucking true at all, okay? Yeah. When you tell somebody you can have a 25-year for 609, or you can have a 5-year for 389, which would you want?
Absolutely.
The response from the vast majority, I'm talking in the 90% range of Canadians, is, well, fuck that, give me the 5, okay? The proof of that is, if you know, when everybody says, well, I think if you introduce 25 and 30-year terms for the whole mortgage, rate stays the same for the whole 30 years. I think if you introduce that in Canada, it'd be very popular. No. Really, fuckers? Then why is variable, which can change every 6 weeks, still 25 to 35% of the market in Canada? Oh, yeah. There's nothing more fucking uncertain than variable. It's still a huge component of the market. So why the fuck do you think a 6% 30-year mortgage is going to be popular?
Well, also, imagine the penalties 3 years into a 30-year term.
No, I have to fix that. Let me fix that.
Sure.
So under the Bank Act, if you take a term that's longer than 5 years, after year 5, after 60 months, your penalty is automatically switched to 3 months interest.
There you go.
So you could have a really, really bad penalty. Your interest differential penalty will slice your balls off. Up to the 60th month, but after the 60th month, it's just 3 years interest. 3 months interest.
There you go.
3 months interest. So that's another reason banks have to price it even higher in Canada. Like at 6% in the United States, it might be 6.9 for the banks have to offset the danger of because the hedging cost is obviously bigger. So,
but a large percentage of people in Canada break their mortgage prior to the 5-year term, right? And so
no, it's not as big as people think. Like there's a famous 8-foot tall alien in Vancouver. Okay, 8 feet tall, bald as a cue ball. Not trying to insult any bald people. We have a lot of great bald people.
It's like most of our office.
But this guy, this alien, this 8-foot tall alien, who pretends to be an expert in the mortgage business out in Vancouver, and yet every night when he goes home, he unzips himself. He starts at the back of his head and he unzips himself and he pulls off his human skin to reveal himself as a reptile alien. And then he's got stored human body parts in a cooler somewhere that he then feeds himself at that point. So, because he's a reptile man, really. So guy.
Do you dislike this person, Ron?
Not me. That guy was endlessly tell everybody that 65% of all the mortgages in Canada break before the end of 3 years, which is the most preposterous lie anybody ever told. It is such an unfucking believable lie. Finally, when I started calling out the lie, I said, I'll tell you what, anybody who can get me a letter on a bank or lender, or reputable lender's letterhead that says, yes, all of our 5-year mortgages, 65% break the mortgage and pay the penalty by the end of year 3, by or before the end of year 3, I offered $50,000 on that. If you could get me that letter, I'll give you $50,000.
Never came.
Nobody. Never. Because guess what? It's a complete fucking fantasy. It's a lie.
So what's the real rate then, roughly, do you think?
I think based on everything that we study in our own business, and we do we've done billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of mortgages over the years, is that many people will modify their mortgage. The majority of people will modify their mortgage. They'll add a line of credit. They may change amortization. They may add a component. They may do something to change their mortgage. Okay. But to break and pay a penalty, no. I mean, I think that's less than 25%. I think it might be less than 20%.
Interesting.
And it's clear to us that this is not. People, like 65% of everybody who got a mortgage paid a penalty?
Maybe in 2020 when rates were like 1%, 2%?
Still no. So look, it was bullshit made up to support the idea that you take 2-year terms because the 8-foot tall alien sold 2-year terms.
Now you get the renewal fees.
Because then you every 6 years you got paid 3 times.
Yeah. There
no
it is.
renewal fees. He would move you to a new lender.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of somebody having a mortgage for 5 years, in the course of 6 years, they'd have 3 mortgages with 3 lenders, and he'd get paid every time.
Great business.
Great business. I mean, it probably increased his commissions by 250%.
Probably.
The 8-foot-tall alien loved commissions before he got into the coaching business. Okay, so that's what happened right there. But look, no, that is not the case. The majority of people finish their 5-year mortgage.
There you go.
They may add a line of credit. They may do something. They may add another mortgage component. Who the hell knows? But vast majority, huge majority of people in Canada finish their 5-year term. So then why would you? So, but when you start to look at 25-year terms and 30-year terms, here's the difference in the United States. There's no penalty. You take a 25-year mortgage, there's no penalty at all. Another reason why it's 6%. Another reason why instead of 3.89 it's 6, because there's no penalty at all.
Built in, yeah.
There's juice on the mortgage right from the first day. Okay, so that's the concept behind it. That's why we don't see it. Okay, now we got to think about this for a second too, because I know purchase business is up a bit, isn't it? It's not not up huge, but you notice it every week.
Yeah.
There's a steady flow of first-time buyers.
Yep.
Is that, and you do a lot of pre-approvals?
Pre-approvals are becoming a lot more interesting because they're a lot quicker now. You know,
People who pre-approve are planning on buying.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, over the couple last years, you give someone a pre-approval, you might hear back from them within 6 months, right?
Yep.
Now you hear back from them within 6 days. Right?
Wow.
So,
Wow. People are serious about buying.
Serious about buying, yeah. Still, please, for the love of God, please put conditions of financing. Do not let realtors convince you that you don't need one. There are some instances where I am seeing multiple bids, but it's very rare and it's on very prime properties.
Well, hold on. Let's also define multiple bid.
Yeah.
You know, if you take a house
Yeah.
that you expect to sell for $1 million,
Yeah.
and you put a 799 listing out there,
You're going to get some
you're going
offers.
to get some fucking bids.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. House next to me did the exact same thing. They had to pull it down because people were bidding what they listed it for.
They didn't get any bump, right? I'll give you 799, maybe. Okay, yeah. Well, no, I can't fucking take something. My mortgage is 800, so I
Exactly.
can't take it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
mortgage is underwater. Yeah, there's
You're
lots of those
seeing
too.
a lot more of that, aren't you?
No, when we say a lot, it basically
But you got
went
a
from,
wild call.
Yes, yeah. You know, basically, it went from no calls about this to now there's a few. But I did have a wild one a couple of days ago, and you can't help but feel bad for the person because this isn't like someone trying to buy dozens and dozens of rental units. It's just they bought pre-construction 2020, 2021.
Just the horrible Toronto condo collapse.
Yeah, and so this person owns one property. Their owner-occupied property.
They live in it.
And so he calls, and I knew exactly what it was going to be right when he called. He called and he said, hey, I'm desperate. I've already talked to other people. I gave up a month ago, but I figured I'd just give it a shot here. And I said, pre-construction? He said, pre-construction. I said, okay, tell me, what happened? So bought a condo for $800. It's now worth $600. Doesn't have enough income to hold the debt that he currently has, let alone more debt. He was only going to do 5.
He was never planning on owning this condo, was he?
It was going to be.
He was going to sell it by assignment.
He was going to sell it by assignment,
Yeah,
exactly. And further to that, the mortgage on his property was $2 million, and he said, in the appraisal of my property, hoping to get more money to put towards this shortfall, my property is worth 1.7.
So hold it. He's underwater on his mortgage. If his mortgage is $2 million, his property's worth 1.7. He's got a problem.
He's underwater. Yeah. So he makes enough money that he can hold on to his house, right? That's fine.
For now.
But there's no way. And he said, all right, thank you so much for your help. I'll go call a litigation lawyer to negotiate with the builder. And you can't help but feel for these people.
Yeah, it's a sad state. I mean, but unfortunately, he's going to find out there's very fucking little negotiation.
Yeah.
Okay. So because the builder, the developer, they don't give a fuck. They seize your deposit because he would have put 20% deposit. It's probably one of the reasons his mortgage is so big. He pulled a deposit out of that.
Yeah.
So
Line of credit.
Line of credit.
Yeah.
So they're going to seize the deposit. They're going to litigate him for the difference. They'll sell the property. They'll sell that condo. Let's say he bought it for $800,000. They're going to sell it for $479,000. whatever, 500.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to, he's going to lose. First of all, he gave 160,000. That's gone.
Yeah.
Then they're going to go after him for the difference. They're going to go after him for the expenses. They're going to go after him for the time that he didn't pay the occupancy fees. I mean, it's a financial disaster. Okay. And that's
it's heartbreaking for some people.
Well, for some people, yeah.
Yeah.
And some people, I think, were just fucking greedsters. Like if a guy has 8, properties.
I feel a lot less sympathy for those people. But someone who was like, I own 1 property, I'd like to have a rental. Sure, why not? Okay.
Yeah, it all went very, very wrong. So we get those calls, which brings up a pretty interesting subject, which is why we have seen in Southern Ontario, probably all of Ontario, to be fair. By the way, when I say these things about Ontario, I'm not talking about other provinces. So I'll give you a quick rundown. Prices in Calgary are off, falling a bit. Edmonton seems okay. People who flew out from Toronto to buy condos in Calgary, pre-construction condos in Calgary, because the virus spread, right? Like when it seemed like pre-construction condos were too expensive in Toronto, people in Toronto jumped on planes, went to Calgary and said, wow, this seems a lot cheaper. I'm going to buy pre-construction condos here. So now that pre-construction condo market in Calgary is collapsing as we speak. Okay,
slower than the rest, but yeah.
But it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming. I mean, all prices are off in Calgary. Yeah. All prices are down.
Yeah.
Not, like you say, not massively, but on condos, biggest inflection point.
Oh, yeah.
Condos are still fucked up in BC, still to this day, fucked up. Not as bad as Toronto. Toronto is like the epicenter of terror, okay, in the condo world.
And it will spread.
Well, all these people who are there's a bunch of people still building condos in Nova Scotia. Like, I think, they may be on the FAFO graph, okay? Like, those condos aren't finished yet.
Yeah.
They're all sold pre-construction, but I think those again are people from Toronto who flew to Halifax to buy condos, and they maybe have fucked around, and they're going to find out. That's the FAFO graph.
Yeah.
And finally, everything in Quebec is great. Like, I'm not even kidding. Everything in Quebec, which is, the prices are still 40%
It's so
less.
wild to me,
They're
too.
40% less than ours. They always have been. But everything's great in Quebec. They're building stuff in Quebec. They're selling. Prices keep moving up. Quebec is today real estate paradise. It's great, okay? Because they never went nuts, okay? They never went completely crazy. There was no influx of foreign buyers in 2014 or 2016 or any of that. Foreign buyers didn't go there, okay?
Yeah. They had to learn French, so.
Well, they chose not to go.
Yeah.
And Quebec always restricted immigration, and they've even reduced the number of immigrants they'll accept.
Yep.
So there's no 400,000 foreign students never showed up in Quebec, to be, when the ripoff by the community colleges was going on. By the way, apparently some of the community colleges may have to close their campuses.
Wow.
Guess what? Fuck you. I'm glad you're hurting.
I feel bad for legitimate institutions.
Oh, the teachers. Well, by the way, U of T isn't laying anybody off, and U of T is still taking foreign students, okay? Yeah. So is U of A, so is UBC. I mean, if you're legitimate for real financial educational institution who's got real education, recognized schools, they're fine.
Well, they're still hurting. They're
hurting a bit, but not as much, okay?
Yeah.
Like, nowhere near as much. Community colleges are getting destroyed because they were a gang of fucking thieves and fucking charlatans, okay? So what we're seeing today is power sales. We've talked about it before on the show, and I've put up separate videos on it. But the number of power sales
keeps going up
in Southern Ontario. Holy shit, that is moving up, okay? That is that's a true hockey stick graph. Now, before everybody just starts saying, oh, fuck, doom scrolling Butler again, fuck them. They started from a number that was almost non-existent 3 years ago. Like, if you go back 3 years, number of power sales, you'd have to take out a magnifying glass to find one.
But everybody was buying, of course.
And when I say they're going up like a hockey stick, it's still a small number in terms of pure numbers.
But percentage-wise increase.
But the percentage increases are wild,
Yeah.
and this is the key. All real estate is valued at the margins. In other words, if you're sitting in a house on a street and 4 blocks over, a similar house to yours was in power of sale and sold at distress, fuck me, the ship is sinking prices, okay? You might not think that's your price, but that is your price.
Yeah.
Because when a real estate agent looks at it and says, well, what do you want for it? Oh, I want $1 million. You realize the one over the 4 streets over sold for 700, right? Doesn't matter. That was power sale. Well, guess what?
That's the price. Yeah.
There's going to be another power sale someday, and it might be 650. So your price is not $1 million. That's it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is people need to care about this number because it's a large part of probably, if I'm hearing you right, of what's going on with the reduction in prices.
Hey, look, we saw one in Ajax just last week. Because I got guys that I follow in social media who print these things. The Ajax price was very simple. Purchased a decent sized house, perfectly nice house, 2,700 square feet, big house, double garage, all the shit. Purchased for, at the peak of peaks, like December 2021, $1.2 million. And by the way, there's lots of houses in Ajax were sold for well over $1 million at that time, full size. Detached homes. You know that's true.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
Sold under power sale, $600,000 last week.
My God.
Okay, 50% loss.
Oh, my God.
Just looked at one in Brampton. 1.3, no, sorry, mistake. 1.7, 44% loss on power sale. But they're all power of sales. So we went through this in 1990 when the real estate market turned.
Yeah.
You didn't see the power of sales till 93 and 94. And that's what absolutely crushed prices. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the key. The more power of sales we see, the more the marginal price will drop. And that's why I tell everybody, because you get a lot of calls. You get calls too about, is this the right time to buy?
Yeah, I was going to say.
And I got a ton of comments on it, social media.
Yeah, I mean, I always. We're going to have a lot of realtors mad at us with this one.
No, you got to wait. Fuck the realtors, okay? You got to wait. You got to wait. Because here's the story.
Someone tells me, should I buy a condo now?
No, nobody even says that anymore. But like, should I buy a house now? Should I buy a townhouse now? Should I buy a semi now? Well, look, if it's the house of your dreams, it's the right neighborhood, it's the right street, you've been watching that area forever, and now you finally could get one, go ahead, okay?
But you're committing for at least 5 years.
But the point that I got to say is this. When you buy a house, that's marriage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, oh, well, if these rates might go back up, so I better jump now. House prices are down, rates are down. In case rates go up, I better jump now. You don't have to jump now. House purchase is marriage. The rate is just a hot weekend in Tijuana. Okay? Like you met somebody, cross the border, go to the, no-tell motel, you're there for like the weekend, and then
Ron's
you come back.
Flashbacks.
Okay? I've never been to Tijuana in my life. Okay. But here's the truth. That's the rate is the one night stand. Okay. The rate can change. You can break mortgages. You can get better rates. You can do whatever you want. But I am telling you, in Southern Ontario, house prices will be lower in 2026. So if you just be a little more patient, you will get a better deal. That's a fact. All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks. We're done. Thank you, Sasha. And we'll be back next week, as always.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.